Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Feud, Capote versus the Swans. Inspired by actual events, the series tells the story of Truman Capote and the women he betrayed. The original housewives. They were society's most elite women. Rich, glamorous socialites who defined a bygone era of high society New York. From creator Ryan Murphy, this drama series features an all-star cast, including Naomi Watts, Demi Moore, and Diane Lane. FX's Feud premieres January 31st on FX Stream on Hulu.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where, man, oh man. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss each and every Bare Naked Ladies song alphabetically from Y to 7.
Tracy,
oh my
you got to
goodness.
take this seriously. This isn't just fun and games over here.
Oh, beat me to the punch on that one. Welcome as we discuss fun and games this week as we finish off the Fs.
F you too.
We say a big F you to the Fs.
We've run out of Fs to give.
This is a song written by Ed Robertson. If you've never heard the song before, here is a quick snippet.
It was a gag, it was all for a laugh. They were shocked and they were awed and they were blown in half. Fun and games, we were just pulling legs. We knew this barrel of fun would be a powder keg.
Aaron, what album is this song from?
All right, so I actually had no earthly idea when I listened to this. There was nothing to tip me off. So I just listened to it and I thought. And the song that this most reminded me of was Bank Job. So I'm guessing it's from the same album, which I believe is Bare Naked Ladies Are Me. How did I do?
You were so close.
Oh, yeah?
You're 1 year off.
It's Bare Naked Ladies Are Men, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. Didn't they record those at the same time?
They recorded the whole album at the same time and then released the first album.
I feel vindicated then.
The second.
I feel vindicated.
And I could see how it has the same feel as Bank Job. It definitely
It does in a lot of ways.
Although it's interesting because I would have almost said that this song was written during the period of time of Everything to Everyone. Like, it has a lot of that feel of Everything to Everyone songs from that Ed wrote during that period as well. So Bare Naked Ladies Are Men is a 2007 release, but I don't think this song was written in 2007, 2006. I think the song was written much earlier based on the topic.
2004 or 5, around the re-election of George W. Bush is my guess.
We'll get into why.
It's a very emotional time for all of us.
So this is a very, very political song. So before we get to the
surprisingly
meat of
emotional.
the song, which is the lyrics, which this week, this is very much the lyrics are the meat of the song. Let's get to the other part of it, which is the music. And I'm going to give it a quick breakdown.
Okay.
Aaron, here's the instruments that are on this song. We got Jim on double bass.
Yep, I hear that.
We've got Kevin on the Helpin' Still piano, which I don't know if you know what it is. I had to look it up.
Helpin' Still piano. No, I don't think I know off the top of my head.
So Helpin' Still is a company, and they made this truly acoustic piano with soundboards on it between 1974 and 1980, and that was it. This, I think, they made other types after that, but since he calls it specifically a Helpin' Still piano, I have to say that that's probably what he's talking about, is a piano made from this time. So that's interesting that he chose to do that for this song. He also plays synth on this song. Steven plays the acoustic guitar, Ed plays the electric guitar. We got Tyler on drums and percussion. Then we have our woodwinds and brass. Carolyn Ricketts is playing piccolo. Rob Carley is on clarinet. Terry Promain is on trombone. And Kevin Turcotte is on trumpet. This is a big number, especially when it gets to the bridge that's in the middle. Now, of course, I can't break down the keys and all that stuff. So, Aaron, I'm going to turn to you to give us the information on the keys and the beat and all of that.
All right, let's break it down.
Breakdown, breakdown, breakdown. Aaron's gonna talk about chord structure and time.
Okay, Fun and Games was recorded at exactly 122 beats per minute, except there is a crazy accelerando a little more than halfway through the song in the bridge. It's got some fantastic horn work, too. It reminds me of some Mingus stuff. So the jazz influence is definitely felt here in both the instrumentation and some of the harmonies and chord choices. It's in the key of G major, just like our song from last week, Fox on the Run. So we're back in a comfortable place, I think, for Ed's vocal range, probably. Ed, his vocals, it's really, really good. I like his vocals on this one. It's got, like I said before, a similar feel to Bank Job. It's right in that same register, and he's got that same... There's this lilting quality to his voice. It's very... It feels like he's kind of spreading his wings and just kind of soaring around, and it's really good. I think he does some really great vocal work on this piece. It's mostly a pop rock song, but it's got those aforementioned jazzy influences that really set it apart and elevate it, in my opinion. It's a fun song. Fun is the word I would most readily use to describe it, which I suppose is pretty appropriate. Not necessarily lyrically or thematically fun, but we'll get to that. But if you just take the music itself, very fun song. Now, the verse/intro section is a G to an E minor to D to E flat major. And I have in my notes here, I wrote in parentheses next to that, question mark, exclamation mark. It's like I'm doing chess notation and someone made a really weird move. Because E flat major, as you may have guessed from the fact that there's an E minor in this chord progression, is not diatonic to the key of G major. And that's where that, right away you hear that kind of weirdness. Mm-hmm. And when I think about the theme of the song, it actually makes a lot of sense. But there's that weird chord where they jump up and then go right back down. That's them hopping up a half step to E flat major, which does not belong in the key of G major, and then going back down. Now
where is that?
Now it's played as kind of... Hold on one sec. It's like right in the very beginning. One sec. Yeah, it's the fourth chord that you hear in the beginning of the song, and it's repeated throughout the verses. So if you're listening to the song and you're just kind of listening to it, the first three chords sound very natural with each other, and then the fourth chord is just out of place. There's a little bit of what I would call dissonance in there. Now, in jazz, we would sometimes refer to a passing tone, but this would be like a passing chord, where a lot of times it'll be like going down or up in a progression, like from E to E sharp to F, or from F to F flat to E. But in this case, it's stepping right into D and then moving up and then back down to D. So it moves up, from G to E minor to D to E flat, up a half step, then back down to D. So it kind of steps away from the tonic and then steps back to it. So it's kind of, it almost gets the feeling of like someone's trying to walk a straight line in a sobriety test and just stumbles for 1 second. They put their foot back in the right place. It just kind of immediately sets this slightly off kilter feel to the tune. There's like something a little manic about it. Which I like a lot. It's really cool. It's quirky, and it's kind of a jazzy thing. And I did not expect it, when I first started listening to the song. So right away, it hit me with that, and I was immediately interested. Right out of the gate, this song had my attention. Yeah, and that E-flat major does not belong in that key at all. But it's really nice. It just like steps away for a second, and then it comes back, reels back from the end.
It gives you a little dissonance.
So it does, and it immediately sets the tone as a quirky song and kind of... the song is very, I would say, traditionally beautiful and harmonious in many ways for the most part. But there's that weird, just that one chord that's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And you don't really get that anywhere else in the song aside from the wonderful bridge, which we will talk about. But yeah, right out of the gate, it caught my attention. So you get that quickly half step up to E flat major, then back down to D. Then, for what I will call the pre-chorus or B section, we start to walk down. We go to C, and then B minor, and then A minor, and then we bounce back up to the 5th degree, our D minor. So we have a 1, 6, 5, flat 6, which is the weird key chord there, back to the 5, and then down to 4, 3, 2, 5, and then 2, 5, 1, of course, the classic turnaround. So 2, 5, 1 into the chorus, we go landing on our G. So for the chorus or C section, we have a G, E minor, A minor, C, D, or a 1, 6, 2, 4, 5, which is a much more standard progression. In fact, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1 chord progressions are very standard in jazz. So again, you have this rock pop sensibility over these kind of more jazzy chord progressions, and even a little tinkering with passing chords and stepping away from the immediate diatonic. So there's a lot to love here from a musical perspective. And then we have finally this bridge or our D section where we have C to G back and forth, and then we kind of start walking down to the low D and then bouncing back up. And then that's when we come to this crazy accelerando, which just starts climbing up chromatically in half steps from C. There goes C to D flat to D to E flat to E, F, G flat, G. It just keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. It leaps all the way up. When it hits the high G, it leaps all the way up to the 5th, up to D, so it can turn around back to the tonic and land on that G, which is so satisfying. It's I love the bridge so much. It's wonderful. So you have verse 1, which is your A section, your pre-chorus, which is your B, chorus, which is your C, verse 2, A, pre-chorus, B, chorus, C, bridge, or D section with the accelerando and the chromatic climb up. By which I mean, by the way, if you're not music major, chromatic just means it's going up in half steps or down in half steps. In this case, they're climbing up in half steps.
Which means, I mean, it feels like it goes off the ropes, and it just...
Yeah, it's da 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 da. It's like, yeah, whoa, something happened. We've left the road and we're driving in the woods right now.
Like, you can feel your nerves and your anxiety just going up as you listen to, which is just what it's supposed to do. It's very programmatic.
Thematically appropriate. Yes, exactly. It is programmatic. So that's our D section. Then we go back to the A section one more time for verse 3. Then our pre-chorus B, which, by the way, I know we're jumping the gun here with lyric, but they say, "Did I say that out loud?" in the lyrics. So I'm like, interesting.
We'll come back to cover that.
yeah, exactly. And then your C's, your chorus. So again, I have to say I really enjoyed listening to this song and analyzing it. But the structure would be A, B, C, A, B, C, D, A, B, C. Pretty straightforward, but again, deceptively so, because the song is definitely taking some liberties with what you would traditionally classify as a pop rock song.
Yes.
Very, very, very cool. I like it a lot.
And musically it does that. It also does it lyrically, which will come back in a moment. I love the drumming on this. It's very militaristic, which we'll get back to in a few minutes, like with the lyrics.
Appropriately enough. Yeah, there's kind of a little drum roll march kind of feel going on the snare drum, which, once I started looking at the lyrics, made a lot of sense as well.
I love it when Tyler does that. He's like, let's see what I can throw in there. And then it's offset by Kevin's light piano playing at the same time. So you get this militaristic feel, but then on the other end you got Kevin playing this light keyboard that's supposed to be relaxing, and then it kicks into this full-out rock, fun, carnival-type sound all at once it kicks into the chorus.
It was a gag, it was all for a laugh.
The music makes it sound like it's really... It's hard to pull out the lyrics and the music separately on this song, because the song is very programmatic, but once again, I love this word, in a very juxtaposed type of way, in that you have a very sarcastic song.
Yes.
But it's taken from the point of view of the villain, which I'm going to call the villain, but I think, sorry guys, if you are politically toward this situation and discussion, which we will get to in a moment, but I think very much Ed would come out and say, and has come out and said in a lot of ways, including this song, that he is very much against the person that he is singing about in the song.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he hides it in the song, and I don't think he's meaning to hide it. He's being very genuine.
No, it's pretty on the nose, yeah.
Like, to call it tongue-in-cheek, like, he's tongue-in-cheek, but he's doing it at such a level that there's no tongue-in-cheek in there either. Like, he's hitting it straight home, except he's taking it from the villain point of view. The music sounds like it's fun for these guys to be making these horrible, evil decisions and destructive decisions about the world. And in some ways, that's what I love about this song, is that it's making this not fun topic very fun. And once again, like with the bridge, when it goes off the rope, the singer, the evil person, is getting a kick out of everything that he's saying. It's almost manic during it. And then he stops at the end of the bridge, and he collects himself, and he's back into his public persona. Mm-hmm. It's just something, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, it's something that George Bush Jr. would do sometimes. He would say things that he didn't mean to say, laugh at his own joke, and then he'd catch himself. And he'd act all somber, like he was a businessman suddenly. Funny, but it's not funny. And this is Ed, like, totally throwing it at it. I also, one of the things I like about the lyrics, to break down the rhyme scheme from it, I like it when a person is telling a story and they decide that they're going to make the rhyme in the middle of the sentence that they're saying, just to make that rhyme in there. But they're not, like, stretching it. They're not like, hey, how can I make this fit? They're just like, you know what, this fits here. And the next line will finish it off here, and it's quick enough that it doesn't matter. So you get that next sentence to get the rhyme, and at the very beginning. So for an example of this would be, we sent in the army, they sounded alarms, we saw it coming from a mile away. Like, yeah, we're just gonna like roll into this sentence.
Primus does that a lot, I've noticed.
Yes. So, Aaron, let's get into the lyrics.
Okay.
And we're going for people who are very, very pro-Bush, now's the time to fast forward to the rating section, because this, I mean, if you like this song,
I'd like, look, maybe this is a naive thing for me to say on the internet. I'd like to think that we can have a mature discussion about this without people getting upset. I am pretty anti-war, you know. I mean, if it's World War II or something where clearly, someone has to be stopped, I can agree that maybe war is a necessary evil. But I think war should definitely be a last resort, and it seems like, just in my opinion, the last few decades, it really hasn't been. It's been more of a plan B or plan A sometimes. Correct. So I think it should be plan Z.
We've
or
tried
maybe
all other things prior to this point.
It should be the very last option. But that's just, that's my opinion.
And I think that's Ed's opinion.
I wouldn't think that would be that controversial. But
I mean, Ed starts it off in the beginning of the song saying, we kept it off radar because we had to say our intentions were to save the day. He's saying, like, this war, and we'll get into a second which war he's talking about, this war was not really a war of necessity. Yeah. We want to make False it sound like it is. We want to give the pretense. But no, this war, when it comes down to it, was because we wanted something out of it. And we wanted all these things that I'm about to tell you about out of this. And he doesn't... If, like I said, if you're very pro George Bush, now's the time to jump forward, because I will be totally honest. This isn't necessarily my view. This is Ed's view. Ed is very anti-Bush throughout this whole entire song, but in sounding like in a very pro-Bush sort of way. And if you don't get the tongue-in-cheek of this, then we have very different views of Bare Naked Ladies.
It's pretty clear.
and
the sarcasm is dripping off the page.
Well, I say this because there are people out there, Aaron, that listened to Weird Al's Trigger Happy and actually believed it was a pro-gun song. Like, walked up to him at the end of a concert for a signature and said to him, that's my favorite song. Like, I am so glad that you sang about this because I totally agree. I carry a gun around me all the time. And Al was really afraid in the moment that he met these people. There are people that really honestly aren't able to get the tongue-in-cheek of certain songs. This one would be very much along the same lines.
Well, isn't it Poe's law? There exists people of extreme beliefs, so therefore all satire, unless you know the source, can easily be mistaken for sincerity these days.
That totally fits. So, if you do not agree with the sentiments of this song, I will leave you to your beliefs. But please fast forward, because we're about to get into what I feel Ed is really saying with this song. So, all the references in this song are very flamboyantly anti-Bush administration and the decisions around the Iraq War.
Yes.
The only thing they could do to make this more pointed would be if they had finished the song with Bush's laughter. Which is what I'm going to post in right here. I'm going to finish the song and put Bush's laughter at the very end. Exactly.
Mission accomplished. I feel like this isn't, honestly, I don't think this is going to even be that controversial, because even it seems like the vast majority of the Republican Party these days are not even in support of the Iraq War. Like, everyone realizes it was a mistake. It's not a very popular war. I would say second, perhaps only to Vietnam.
And you know what? The stats agree with that. And one of the things I was going to get into is there are a lot of countries that backed us up with this, with the Iraq War.
Oh, yeah.
Canada was not one of them. Canada and France and Germany were three of the countries that came out vehemently against this war and said that it was absolutely unnecessary for us to take the steps that we did.
Good for you, Canada.
And I don't think it was controversial at all for Ed to take this stance at that time, considering where he was singing it from.
Yeah.
A little bit about the Iraq War. Began on March 19th, 2003. Lasted just over a month. At the end of it, Bush put in the first transitional government. Now, this goes into Ed's line of we kept it all long range and made a regime change. That, in his point of view, what he's saying is that was the whole point of this war, was we're going in there just to pull out the government that's there and put our own in, and that's what we want. And they're going to hide it behind all this other stuff. Now, for those who don't know the Iraq War, it started off mostly with long-range missile attacks, specifically on Saddam Hussein's own personal palace. As a matter of fact, the invasion was preceded by an airstrike right on the presidential palace on March 20th. Which is what they're saying when they said they kept it off radar. It's referring to this attack, as well as a number of other attacks that happened in precision quickly afterwards. Then they held elections in 2005, which were so successful that the U.S. Army actually remained there in Iraq until 2011. That's a really successful invasion. Good job, United States. By the way, if you didn't get it, that's sarcasm.
And in case you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic.
Now, they said that the whole point was to go in to disarm Iraq from weapons of mass destruction, specifically around chemical weapons and nuclear weapons, which they were never able to find, except for the chemical weapons, which were over 3 decades old, and we gave them. So...
That's like that scene, was it in Shane? It was like one of those cowboys where the bad cowboy is like, goes over to the kid and throws a gun at his feet and he's like, pick it up. No, mister, I don't want no trouble. Pick it up. And he finally does and he shoots him and goes, you all saw he had a gun. Exactly. That was the United States in the Iraq War.
Pretty much. It's funny because the Iraq War, the Iraq people didn't want us there. They protested us being there. We posed it, and Bush posed it, that we were doing this to free the Iraqi people, but they had no interest in us being there.
Well, according to Bush, there were terrorists. I'm not sure what it was that was terrorist, but something was terrorist. And there was an access of evil. Maybe he meant an excess of evil. I'm not sure. Someone's gonna take that seriously too. But.
They are. Ed is playing around with his words throughout this whole song.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great wordplay and
So, for example...
It's a very cleverly written tune.
And they were shocked and they were awed. For those who don't realize...
Yeah, shock and awe.
Shock and awe was what Bush called the attack plan, with throwing missiles at them and then coming in with the forces the next day. And then they were blown in half. Yeah, that sounds about right with what happened during this war.
I was researching the lyrics, and I had noted somebody had posted about this and said, at some point they mentioned pulling your leg, and they said, could this be a reference to people being amputees because of landmines or improvised explosive devices? Very dark humor, if so. Gallows humor, which they mentioned the gallows later on in the song, so how appropriate. Yeah.
He also, you would have thought it would have been a gas. Chemical weapons were the big thing that we were supposedly fighting in this war. And then it got ugly, and we sat around smugly enjoying because you bought our little joke. Because 60% of people in the United States said, yes, we should have gone in. So yeah, if the U.S. bought their little joke. It gets back to this really sarcastic thing of, put a smile on. We're the ones that you selected. Like, we're here. You put us.
Yeah,
here.
You voted for this.
You
reelected us.
Exactly. You just reelected us. And guess what? Now we're taking away your rights.
So one of my favorite, I know I always have to reference another musician in every episode. One of my favorite bands, Firewater. No, it's not actually, for once. One of my favorite bands, Firewater.
That's what he said.
He said they might be giants because I always reference they might be giants.
I was wondering if you said what, Radiohead?
Radiohead. I love Radiohead, obviously a lot. But no, yeah. So one of my favorite bands, Firewater. Todd A, the vocalist and the lyricist and composer for the group, he was extremely disheartened when Bush got reelected. And at the same time, he had a terrible, nasty divorce, and he lost the house as well as his wife. Wow. So he sold everything he had and moved over to Turkey and reformed his band. And he started to incorporate like world music and like interesting like Middle Eastern instruments into his like kind of punk rock aesthetic, and made the best album of his career, in my opinion, after that, called The Golden Hour. And he actually has a lyric in a song called This Is My Life. I lost my home and I lost my wife. This is no joke. This is my life. And in one of the verses, he says, new suit of clothes, same emperor, which, of course, referring to Bush.
Right.
So I kind of had to think of that when I was listening to this song because of all the on-the-nose Bush and Iraq references.
Oh, like all over the place.
It's a great little jingle.
It is.
You should listen to it sometime, Tracy.
Which leads us back to the bridge. When things go off the rocker.
My favorite part of the song.
And all the blame will be deflected. The forest will be unprotected. The nation's war will be neglected. Creation myth is resurrected. The new saloon is genuflected. The gallows pole will be respected. A gallows pole will be erected. And all this will go undetected.
I'm going to let you. Do you want to take the lyrics during this?
Yes, I will. Okay, because I was anticipating you asking me what my favorite lyric was in the song, and I was going to reply the entire bridge. So all the blame will be deflected.
Dude,
the forest.
It's a good song when the bridge is the best.
The bridge is the best part. Yeah, a lot of the time. And all the blame will be deflected. The forest will be unprotected. The nation's poor will be neglected. Creation myth is resurrected. A new salute is genuflected. A gallop pole will be respected. A gallows pole will be erected. All this will go undetected. I just lost it. Like the first time I heard it.
Building,
it's so fantastic.
No one's gonna notice.
The people that don't care to listen to
exactly.
the bridge very
exactly.
closely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's while the song is like speeding up and going, you can just feel the tension rising. And I feel like maybe this is a reflection of, at the turning point where people started to really question the war publicly. Because I think after 9/11, for the next 5 years even, there was this real hesitance in the media and everywhere to question the patriotism of the war and anything like that. You didn't want to be. And we started having people say, "Well, I support the truth, but not the war," or something like that. They're just like trying to be like, "Look, I love my country. And just maybe we shouldn't be bombing these people." So yeah, I feel like maybe this was the reference to things kind of going off the rail and the thread starting to be pulled and the sweater unraveling.
And Ed is really in 1984's way, really warning us of where this is heading at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This is why I say I think he wrote this in 2004, not like late 2007 when it was recorded and released. This is like right after it happened or in the midst of it happened. It had to have been like he's trying to warn us. A new salute is genuflected. A Gallup poll will be respected. Gallows poll will be erected. Like, all of this is going to go undetected. Pay attention, people!
Which really sums up the song really well. Like, I think the bridge is a nice encapsulation of the entire song. It's this playful tune, but it's a very dark subject and disturbing subject matter. I love that juxtaposition, and the song is very near and dear to my heart because of it. It's one of my favorites I've heard recently.
And this is the spot where you could easily put in George Bush's laughter right at the end of this bridge, like where all of a sudden he laughs and then he's like, oh wait, well, you weren't in on this joke. Back to my public face.
Yeah, I can't show my wolf in sheep's clothing grin.
And then it comes back to the most dark lines I think of the whole entire song in that last verse. While you all slumbered, we sat and crunched numbers of all the casualties we could afford. There's no need to draft them. You could hear us laugh. The poor and black all need the room and board. Oh, wait. Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. Did I say that out loud? It reminds me very much of the cold and calculated term collateral damage, which is used so disrespectfully, in my opinion, to refer to people who are non-combatants who happen to be killed by drone strikes or bombs. Collateral damage is such a cold term. It sounds like, oh, well, I don't know. You got a little soot on the wall of that general store over there. No. We're, children's hospitals being blown up.
Literally.
It's a little more, yeah. I'm not even, that's not me making that up. That happened. So,
And then them saying it was a palace. No, that was not a palace.
Trying to remove the emotional... And actually, I referenced Vietnam earlier, and I think in the song they talk about how they're trying to kind of push it away. Vietnam, the response was so visceral in protest against it because it was the first war where they had live footage from reporters who were flown out there, and they were showing the horrors of that war, and people were actually seeing it for the first time. So that's why they did shock and awe, and they tried to make it as much of a bombing campaign as possible and not have troops on the ground and certainly not have news media close to the actual horror to try and sanitize the image of the war.
This has gotten very dark, as I guessed it would.
Yes.
But I think one person summed it up really nicely in the songmeanings.com, or actually it might have been underneath the, on the bottom in the comments for the YouTube video of this. It's not a video, but it's just the music playing with pictures put up. Isn't that kind of what a video is, though? The person said,
music
keep
and
enough people poor so they'll have enough, they'll do anything for cash, even sign up. It ensures you have a steady number of troops. Since it's mostly the poor suffering, the rich can laugh.
Well, it's an interesting point, and in recent years, I was horrified at people suggesting that we reinstate the draft. But here's the thing. The draft, at least, if it's actually done correctly, which it won't be if we do it, but if it was done fairly, then that means the senator's son has the equal chance as I was going to say the blacksmith's son, but what are we in the 1600s? As the McDonald's worker's son, I don't know, of going to war.
Means that we can get drafted too.
Yeah, right. And so... but the thing is, I feel like then, because right now, it very much is, we like to sweep it under the rug and say, well, people are doing this by choice. But maybe you really don't have much of a choice if you're that poor, and if you want to go to college. So, yeah, I do think that it kind of unfairly impacts the unwealthy, the less wealthy amongst us.
Well, and it's in some ways meant to by creating these incentives of, like, we'll pay you well.
Unless you have bone spurs. If you have bone spurs and then you don't have to fight.
It's meant to. Like, we will pay for you to go to college. We will pay, like, who benefits from that other than the people who can't already pay to go to college? We will take those people and put them in danger. It's seen as an incentive and it's seen as a positive, but it's not what the intention is behind it.
Tracy, we're going to now take this time to announce our politics podcast. Politics.
I knew this week would go dark.
I won't even listen to NPR.
In which we discuss how terrible things have gotten in the world on a daily basis.
I don't think NPR would even go this dark. Like, Ed took this to a new level, and I knew this in covering this song, that we were going to come to this.
I feel like if we did a politics podcast in this day and age, we'd have to start every episode by going, it's
Disclaimer.
Enter date. The world has gone to...
So before we go too far back down this rabbit hole, because we will...
I wish Michelle were here. And Bobby.
Oh, this would be interesting at that point. I want to hear Michelle's point of view. Michelle, what's your thoughts on this and your rating?
Hey guys, this is Michelle with my thoughts on Fun and Games, which came out in 2007 rather, I think was the year. But I think it's more applicable today than it's ever has been. The thing that struck me from the album version, from Bare Naked Are Men, what struck me right off was the marching percussion at the beginning. Anytime I hear that kind of, parade march, snare drum percussion, that always kind of puts me in a weird spot. Like it feels really sad. Like, they're marching off to war. Like that's what it sounds like. And then there's the melody, which the chord progression is a little uneasy making. Like it doesn't quite go where I expect it, or it goes a little past where I expect it's going to. And that kind of throws me for a loop. And the melody never really settles down. Yes, the overall song has kind of a pop feeling to it, but with this sense of unease underneath. And then we get into the bridge and it's, changes style altogether and it's going off the rails. And I actually think the bridge in the bathroom sessions with Ed just playing on his guitar really captures that going off the rails kind of feeling on the bridge. So I think when this song came out, I didn't really think much of it. Sure, things are crazy or whatever, but now listening to the song, like, holy moly, here we are. This is a perfect song for our times. The world is insanity and chaos, and this song really captures that. Plus the laissez-faire of the world leaders, like they don't give a crap about the quote-unquote little people, all of the rest of us on planet Earth. Anyway, the lyrics are really insightful. The melody is, I think, purposefully uneasy. I'd love to hear Aaron's take on this. It's really good. I'm giving it a 4 because the sense of chaos that this song captures while still sounding friendly, it's kind of amazing. Like, if you really think about what's happening in the world today and listen to this song, it's kind of unsettling and amazing and so interesting. But they nailed it. They captured it better than they probably thought they did. So that's it. I give it a 4. It's really good, but also really upsetting. The bathroom sessions are good. It's a good song, but it makes me uneasy. And that's the truth. All right, I hope you all have a great week. Talk to you soon.
All right, Aaron.
Yeah.
It's time for your rating. How many
Yes, sir.
How many chemical weapons do you give this song?
Wow.
Was that wrong?
Well,
Should I have gone
no,
by half blown up bodies?
Look, it's a dark humor in the song, dark humor in the rating. I like it. At first, I was considering rating it on par or maybe even just slightly below Bank Job because I really do like that song quite a lot. It's very playful and fun. But after listening to Fun and Games many times, and especially considering that fantastic Accelerando bridge section, I have to say that I think I like Fun and Games just slightly more than Bank Job, which is really surprising to me. The lyrics are slightly more deep and poignant. They are definitely on the nose, but they're funny in a dark way, and they're kind of a really important subject. I wrote several songs with similar subject matter in college for my band. I would easily seek out either Bank Job or Fun and Games to listen to again because they're just both great. But I think I'm going to end up giving Fun and Games a very respectable 4.4 out of 5 non-existent WMDs.
Okay, there we go. All right, I gotta change this now. That's our new non-existent.
What are you, harsh?
WM.
What's that?
What are you usually, harsh? So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty tough. I'm a tough
How
crowd.
did I know? Tough judge of music. That's how he knows that my music taste is top tier.
Yeah.
And, Becca, you've been piping in throughout this whole time.
Yeah, you want to
What do you give this? How many non-existent WMDs do you
hold
give
on.
this song?
Can we pause? Well,
Yep.
Not pause, but can we just stop for a moment and let her listen to the song?
Sure.
I would love to get her thoughts on this. This is a fun one.
She's our guest this week.
Okay, well, where to begin? So,
Jonathan
the first
Coulton.
thing that comes to mind, yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, so it's definitely mostly vocal style and song style, with the way that his transitions are in this. It reminds me a lot of Jonathan Coulton's style. I don't know really how would you describe that?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I completely agree. I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Coulton, and I can't believe I didn't pick up on that until you said it. But yeah, the vocal style is very reminiscent. It's got this really playful, but a lot of his stuff is very satirical and biting in the same way. It sounds very, very fluffy
exactly,
and
it sounds
light,
fun.
But then you listen to the lyrics and it's like, oh god, that's horrifying. So
can you guys think of
similar.
A specific song that would be a good example of that for me to put in here?
I mean, I feel like what is it? Wish Now I Only Want You Gone.
It's gone on too long, tell you how it ends. I'm sitting on the edge with my two best friends. One's a bottle of pills and one's a bottle of gin. I'm 20 stories up, yeah, up at the top. I polished off this bottle, now it's pushing me off. Asphalt to me has never looked so soft. I bet my mama found my letter.
Yes.
That song's great for that. I mean, a lot of the context is kind of sewn into Portal 2 because the song was kind of created for that game. But it's very obvious, the satirical kind of playfulness, that they have, woven in lyrically, that when you play the game and you hear it, I mean, even if you just hear it, you can tell. It's just, this captures it in the same way, the whole, did I say that out loud type of thing. But the first thing that really captured me about this song was that it's kind of like a song wearing a glamour. So
in disguise.
Yeah, it's in disguise, and I absolutely love songs like that. I've shown you a couple of songs like that. Bullet by Hollywood Undead is very like that. It's a song entirely about suicide, but it's to this very uplifting, happy-go-lucky tune type of song. So it disguises itself in that kind of way.
My legs are dangling off the edge. A stomach full of pills didn't work again. I put a bullet in my head and I'm gone.
Say fun and games, satire in disguise.
Exactly. It's so funny. I feel like another thing that really catches me about this is what's so interesting to me about songs like this is that that it comes from a place where how am I going to get someone to listen to the truth? you know? And, like, it's kind of where that and the whole, like, it wears a glamour the same way that everyone in life wears a glamour, because they don't want, the society does not want to admit that there's shit going wrong. This wears a glamour the way that the news wears a glamour. You don't see what actually happens in other countries, like, during these wars, because they choose what they want you to see. So, in a lot of ways, this kind of, like, is in that meat of the middle, and that's especially what's so interesting. Like, a lot of people are so worried to get out of their comfort zone, and the whole, like, the poor and the black all need the room and board. Did I say that out loud? It's because, like, it's very tongue-in-cheek, kind of like, this would never get away. Like, I would never get away with saying something like that if it wasn't in this form.
True.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
Like, the same way that, like, comedy is. Like, you can get away with a lot of stuff being up on a comedy stage than you could if you said it just randomly on the streets. And it's very interesting how the same person that'll laugh at the joke in a crowd like that will be the first person to get offended on the street if someone said it.
Very true.
I definitely feel like I get vibes like that from here. Like, they took two completely separate, like, entities and made it one, in the way that it's a very fun song. And at first you probably don't realize it, unless, like, you're like me and Aaron, who we, like, love listening to, like, the lyrics and stuff. Like, but another thing, like, I feel like it kind of reminds me of Melanie, too. Like, Melanie Martinez, because, like, her whole thing, she kind of, like, hides behind this, like, child persona, but she, like, describes a lot of really, like, f***ed up things that happen to children, like, when they're younger and things that they experience. So no one would just blatantly talk about war like this and be heard, because no one wants to hear it, so...
Or people aren't ready
I think
to
that's
hear
especially... Yeah, exactly. And in a way, it's kind of like the people that aren't ready to hear are the kind of people that are probably going to be listening to songs that are uplifting like this one.
Right.
So
Want to talk about,
maybe they're trying to, creep up on someone's iPod, like, hey, open your eyes, people,
I would have loved to have seen this on a top 40.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, and, that's... Sometimes songs like this do, though.
Yes.
Like...
And maybe Ed was hoping for that. Like, hey, if I hide it in this glamour, if I really kind of put it behind this poppy, happy type sound, then maybe it'll get out there and then people will have to start to realize what's really going on.
Yeah, exactly. Because then they're going to be like, oh, I actually like that song. And then the more they listen to it, the more they're going to realize. I feel like that's, like, the greatest purpose that songs can really, like, serve, right. So...
All right, so from your opinion,
honestly,
0 to 5, how many non-existent WMDs would you give this song?
I'm not as harsh, and also it's very, I don't want to say easy, but, like, I feel like I'm a little less harsh, like, when it comes to things that are pleasing to my ears. So I'm going to give this probably, like...
I think that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm going to give this at least a 4.6. Like, this is going to end up on my phone Spotify playlist once I get out here. For sure.
So still I'm the highest on the rankings, but that's okay. We're all in the high 4s on this, so...
Great minds think alike.
It'll be interesting to see what Michelle gives this song.
Yeah, going in blindly, like, not knowing anyone else's scores, I'd be very interested to know if she, where it sits for
definitely.
her.
All right, so now I need to do my wonderful appearances. Oh, I haven't given my rating yet. I might want to do that.
Maybe.
I love this song.
I mean, it's your show, man.
You know what? Never mind. Screw it. I love this song. It's rocking. It's satirical. It's very dark, which Aaron's probably like, Tracy, I never knew that you love dark music, but I do. It's at the same time, it really makes me feel icky as I listen to this song. The more times I listen to it, the more it gives me that clench.
Makes your stomach kind of churn.
Yeah. But that's what it's supposed to do.
Like the puckered butthole kind of feel. You kind of like, did he just say that? He really just said that.
So it works perfectly. It's what it's supposed to be doing. And yet it's perfect for the situation. The other thing I like is that you have the crescendo that's kind of going on during that bridge. And
oh my god, I totally forgot. I was going to say something about
Go
that.
ahead.
Go on. Oh, I was just going to say, like, that kind of tied in too. Like, I love how, like, that's kind of resemblant of, like, showbiz, you know, show theater. Like, there's a lot of, like, playfulness in, you know, the measures and stuff. Like, you know, swapping between time signatures and stuff like that, or speeding up, slowing down, crescendo.
You just reminded me what this song sounds like and what it reminds me of so much. Other than Day in the Life, which is that crescendo in the middle piece, which very much, and I think you won't hear me say this often, I think they do it better than the Beatles even at this point with this song.
I feel like it makes more sense here because the chaos is more fitting.
It fits programmatically with what he's trying to get across.
Exactly. It's kind of like all that information being thrown at you at once. It's like exactly how it feels as someone that's taking in all of this information. They feel like everything's just being thrown at them, you know?
But here's the part I want to get Aaron's reaction to. This song reminds me of Chicago, specifically of Razzle, Dazzle.
Give 'em the old three-ring circus, stun and stagger 'em. When you're in trouble, go into your dance. Oh, you are stiffer than a girder, they'll let you get away with murder. Razzle dazzle them, and you got a romance.
And more even specifically, Reach for the Gun.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, we both, oh yes, we both, oh yes, we both reach for the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun, oh yes, we both reach for the gun, for the gun. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both reach for the gun, the gun, the gun, the gun, oh yes, they both reach for the gun, for the gun.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's got that dark humor that we've got it going, and it builds throughout the whole thing as it's getting more and more frenetic, and it's about fooling the media. And I think that fits perfectly into this,
I love that.
This whole idea that's in this song. I wish I could meld the two songs because I love those three songs all together, and just this in some ways is that. So, given all of that, my rating is a 4.8.
Very nice, sir.
I
think you scored higher than
I did.
all of us.
What did he score?
He voted 4.8 solid.
Yeah. No, it's up there. I love this song. And it wasn't until I listened to it again this week that I reminded myself of exactly how much I love this song. So I'm going to go to the exact opposite end of the spectrum, both alphabetically for the Fs, as well as numbers-wise. We didn't cover the song Faith, because they covered George Michael's song Faith, but they didn't do it on any of the albums. They only did it when they did it on the Ships and Dips tour. And I'm glad that we didn't, because it is a horrible rendition. I'm going to post it up there.
Oh, man, that's huge coming from you.
I possibly would give this appearance a 0. But I think it's important to put in there because we have to rank things, and there has to be an absolute bottom to compare everything on, and this is just utter chaos and a mess. Everyone that they had on the cruise is coming, all the acts are coming to one spot to kind of do a final song, and people are singing off key, they've blown out their voices, it's off beat, it's horrible, it's a train wreck.
Oh no.
And so I'm going to put it up there for people to listen to so they have a good idea of what my absolute bottom ends up being. All right, so Becca.
Yes.
We talked a lot about George Bush tonight. Almost nothing bad is ever said about Laura Bush, though. Like, she is like totally left off the radar. She was quiet during most of her time that he was in office. People don't have a lot of bad things to say about her. I don't think she's a good match for George. So, you know who I think George should have ended up with?
Who?
He should have ended up with a gangsta girl. So that's the song we're going to cover next week is Gangster Girl.
Nice. I see how you segued right into that.
Aaron missed the segue this week. Sorry, Aaron.
You should have heard that segue. It was amazing.
You didn't see it coming.
No.
Hey, Becca.
I didn't. I was like, I hope he's not asking for my opinion on Laura, because I know nothing about her. I was like, where's this going?
Aaron often gets that look in his eyes, too, like, wait, where is he going with this? What's he going to say?
Like, wait a minute. I didn't prepare for this.
Now, where can people go to see and hear more of the lovely and talented Becca? What internet show could they possibly...
What are you talking about?
Where could they possibly see more of
I mean, if we're talking music, I do have a SoundCloud.
Ooh.
No.
Well, the song's name is Fun and Games, and we play games.
Like, where could they literally see you
Oh,
once
yeah.
a week?
Controller throwers, man. On twitch.tv/controller throwers.
And make sure you put the TV.
Be there or be square.
Be
It's
around us.
twitch.tv,
Yes.
not twitch.com. Don't make that mistake, people.
Yeah, not twitchtv.com. Not that.
Twitch.tv.com.
Oh, duh.
No.
We don't want
Twitch.tv.
we don't want your credit card being phished. So.
No. So twitch.tv, controller throwers. You get to see Aaron. You get to see Becca. They have a lot of fun.
Toos even.
Getting Toos, exactly. If you
Usually
remember
I'm-
our alcohol episode, you get to see Toos again. And especially if they're playing head to head, you get to see Becca and Aaron go head to head, and it's pretty interesting friction that goes on there.
Yeah. Needless to say, sometimes I'm like, I don't know, throwing them under the bus.
But it's all fun and games.
Sometimes. Most of the time.
And you guys are back on pretty consistently again, which is great.
Yeah, we're really excited to get back into streaming, especially because now we've got a lot of really cool stuff to look forward to. Like in March next year, Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out, so all updated graphics. Pretty excited about that. Going to be streaming that for sure. And of course, Persona 5 Royal. Recently, we've been doing Catherine Full Body. We'll definitely be doing it in the future, so if anyone wants to check that out, that'll definitely be happening.
And you guys are hilarious.
Next
You
couple
have a
of
lot of
weeks.
fun. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely 10/10 recommend.
And what days do you tend to stream? What times?
Usually on Thursdays is the most consistent. We're trying to get more consistent on the weekends, but usually it's from 8 to 10.
Eastern Standard.
Sometimes we're running a little over. Yep, Eastern Standard Time.
And the other one I'm hoping you guys go back to at some point because it was really fun to watch you do it was the Telltale Batman.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep, I definitely want to finish that. I haven't played any since I streamed because I specifically wanted that one to be a stream game because I absolutely love doing Telltale games as like stream games. I think that they're really fun to watch and interact with and kind of, ask the audience which, answer would you have picked.
And have you guys done the Wolf Among Us version of that yet?
I know Aaron's played The Wolf Among Us. I haven't played it yet. It's really sad that we won't get a second one, I've heard.
We might
now.
They're possibly
someone
coming back.
bought the rights to Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us.
Holy...
I would love to
very
see you
Crapola.
play
hopeful.
both The Wolf Among Us and the Walking Dead version games of those.
Yeah, I remember watching... I used to keep up a lot with the Walking Dead game when it first came out, because that's got, 8 chapters now?
I think it's up to that.
Well, I mean, it's finished, but it's definitely got at least 8, if not more. But, yeah, I definitely want to play it. I'm not sure if they have that on PS4, or... I'm probably going to want to get it on Steam anyway, so...
So join Becca and Aaron when they do that. It is a lot of fun. And thank you guys for joining us. And join us next week as we discuss Gangsta Girl.
Gangsta Girl. Be there or be square.
Or be shot in the head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that too. Bang, bang. Finger guns.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.